He closed a Grand Slam final with 3 consecutive aces. The crowd was on its feet. He was 21 years old, the best tennis player on the planet, and the serve was clocked at 155 miles per hour.
6 years later, same tournament, same court, he won 83% of his first serve points in a Grand Slam final. Statistically, one of the best serving performances in Wimbledon history. And he still lost. That is not a failure story. That is something far more disturbing. And by the end of this video, you will never look at dominance or its limits the same way again. By 2002, American tennis had a problem.
Pete Sampras, 14 Grand Slams, 7 Wimbledon titles, had just walked off the court at the US Open for the last time. Andre Agassi was 32 and running out of road. An entire generation of American fans was staring at a void. Then came Andy Roddick.
Born in Omaha, Nebraska, turned professional in 2000. By 21, he had a serve that nobody in the sport had seen before, 155 miles per hour, 249 kilometers per hour, recorded at the Davis Cup in 2004. Currently ranked the 6th fastest serve ever recorded in professional tennis. Pete Sampras himself, standing at the Tennis Hall of Fame, said it plainly. The way he competes and the way he plays, he really is the future. Sampras was right. Roddick was the future. Here is the paradox that this entire video is built on. Andy Roddick would finish his career with 9,068 aces, 4th most in the history of the sport, behind only Karlovic, Ivanisevic, and Federer. He had the most feared serve of his generation. He used it to win a Grand Slam at 21. He used it to reach 4 more Grand Slam finals, and he lost every single one of them. The weapon that defined him could not win him one more major. Not once, not in 4 attempts. So the question this video answers is not whether Roddick was great. The numbers confirm he was. The question is, what happens when greatness collides with something greater? September 2003, US Open Final, Flushing Meadows, New York. Roddick's opponent, Juan Carlos Ferrero, the reigning French Open champion and the current world #1. The crowd wanted an American champion. They were about to get one.
Roddick served 23 aces in that final. He won 6-3, 7-6, 6-3. Clinical. Dominant. But the specific moment that this entire video will return to, came at the very end.
Championship point. New York holding its breath. Roddick bounced the ball, tossed it, fired. Ace. The crowd exhaled, then roared. But Roddick wasn't done. He bounced the ball again. Ace and again. Ace. 3 consecutive aces to close a Grand Slam final. The stadium erupted. Roddick raised both arms. He was 21 years old, and the serve had just won him everything. On November 3, 2003, Andy Roddick became world #1. He held that ranking for 13 weeks. Then Roger Federer took it and never gave it back.
So why would Roddick never feel that again? What followed those 13 weeks was not a collapse. That is the critical distinction. Roddick did not fall apart. He adapted. He changed coaches. He rebuilt elements of his game. He remained one of the top 5 players in the world for the better part of a decade. He reached 4 Grand Slam finals, a level of consistency that the vast majority of professional players never approach. But Federer had taken permanent residence at the top, and the sport had reorganized itself around that fact. Agassi retired after the US Open 2006. Sampras was already gone. Roddick was now the last American standing, and he was standing directly in the path of the greatest player the sport had ever produced. The head-to-head record tells the story without sentiment. Roddick won 3 of their 24 meetings, 3 wins in 24 matches against 1 opponent. That is not a rivalry, that is a wall. And Roddick kept running at it. He changed his game. He did everything right. So what exactly was the problem? To understand what Roddick was up against, you need to look at the numbers from Wimbledon 2009, because those numbers are the most important data point in this entire story. Point 1. Roddick's first serve percentage was 70%. Federer's was 64%. By the most basic metric of serving consistency, Roddick was outperforming Federer in a Grand Slam final. Point 2. Roddick won 83% of his first serve points. That is not a good number. That is an elite number. In any other match, against any other player, that performance wins the title. Point 3. His second serve won only 44% of points. Federer's second serve won 60%. That gap, 16 percentage points on second serve points is where the match was decided. Federer's return game was so precise, so relentless, that the moment Roddick's first serve missed, the point was effectively over. And here is the detail that reframes everything. Federer broke Roddick's serve only once in 38 attempts across that entire match. One break, in 5 sets, in a match that went to 16-14 in the 5th. That one break decided a career. Federer also fired 50 aces, a Wimbledon final record at the time. Roddick won only 21% of return points against Federer's 28%. The margin between them was not a chasm, it was a razor's edge. But in a match of that length, at that level, a razor's edge is everything. The conclusion the numbers force you to reach. Roddick did not lose because he played badly. He lost because Federer extracted maximum damage from minimum opportunity, and Roddick had no equivalent answer on return. The serve was dominant. The serve was not enough. 4 Grand Slam finals, each one specific, each one a different kind of loss. 2004, Wimbledon. The first time. Roddick takes the second set, pushes Federer to 4 sets. He is competitive. He is dangerous. Federer wins 6-4, 5-7, 7-6, 6-4. The message from Federer is clear. I can absorb your best and still find a way through. 2005, Wimbledon. 1 year later, same surface, same opponent. Federer wins 6-2, 7-6, 6-4. More decisive. The pattern is no longer a coincidence. It is a statement. Roddick's serve is neutralized on grass by a player who reads it earlier than anyone else on tour. 2006, US Open. This one is different. This is Roddick's court, Flushing Meadows, the same stadium where he closed with 3 aces in 2003. The crowd is American. The surface is hard court, Roddick's best. Federer wins 6-2, 4-6, 7-5, 6-1. On home soil, the loss is not close. 2009, Wimbledon. The 4th final. The last one. And by every statistical measure, the best tennis Roddick ever played in a Grand Slam final. We already know the numbers. 70% first serve, 83% of first serve points won, 5 sets, 16-14 in the 5th. 4 finals, 4 losses. But the last one, the one where Roddick played the best tennis of his life, was somehow the worst. Wimbledon 2009, 5th set. The score reaches 10-10, then 12-12, then 14-14. Every game Roddick holds, every game Federer holds. The serve, the weapon that defined his entire career, is performing at an elite level. He is not cracking, he is not fading, he is executing. At 15-14, Federer breaks. One break. The only break of Roddick's serve in 38 attempts across the entire match. Federer serves it out, 16-14. The match lasted 4 hours and 16 minutes. It remains the longest Wimbledon final in history by games played. Roddick walked to the net, shook hands, walked off. Years later, at his Tennis Hall of Fame induction in 2017, Roddick said something that stopped the room. You might expect me to hate that match, but I don't. It's the one where I felt people might have gotten me for the first time. Read that again. He is not talking about the win. He is talking about being understood. After years of being defined by the serve, by the weapon, by the number, by the record, the match where he lost 16-14 in the 5th set of a Wimbledon final was the match where people finally saw who he actually was. Not a one-dimensional server, a complete competitor who gave everything he had against the greatest player of all time, in the longest final in Wimbledon history, and came up one break short. August 30th, 2012, Andy Roddick's 30th birthday. He announced his retirement that morning. His final match would be played at the US Open, the same tournament, the same court where he had closed with 3 consecutive aces 9 years earlier. In his retirement statement, he had played through injuries, through the Federer era, through the slow erosion of a body that had served 9,068 aces at maximum effort. The decision was made not in defeat, but in clarity. He knew, at 30, that the gap between what his body could produce and what the top of the sport demanded had become permanent. At Flushing Meadows that evening, after losing to Juan Martín del Potro in the 4th round, Roddick addressed the crowd directly. No American man has won a Grand Slam since. Not one. Sampras retired in 2002, Agassi in 2006, Roddick in 2012. The baton was passed, and then the baton disappeared. Over 20 years and counting. He lost to Del Potro in the 4th round. No aces to close it. Just a handshake and a walk off the court. The circle closed exactly where it opened. That absence reframes what Roddick actually was. Not a player who fell short. The last American man to reach the summit of the sport, and the one who held the door open the longest against the force that shut it. Here is what Andy Roddick's career actually teaches us, and it has nothing to do with the serve. The conventional reading of his story is that he had one weapon and it wasn't enough. That reading is wrong. The Wimbledon 2009 numbers prove it. He won 83% of his first serve points in a Grand Slam final and lost. The weapon was not the limitation, the era was. Roddick played his entire prime in direct overlap with the single greatest player in the history of the sport. He adapted. He competed. He reached 4 Grand Slam finals after his only title. He held the world #1 ranking. He won 32 ATP titles. And he did all of it while running into the same wall in the same finals against the same opponent. That is not a tragedy of talent. That is a tragedy of timing. The lesson that transfers beyond tennis, to business, to competition, to any field where you are measuring yourself against the best is this. Dominance does not guarantee legacy, but it does not erase it either. Roddick's legacy is not the 1 Grand Slam. It is the 4 finals he reached after it. It is the 16-14 5th set. It is the 83% first serve points won in a match he still lost. It is the fact that, at his Hall of Fame induction, he said he didn't hate the match where he lost everything, because it was the match where people finally understood him. You might expect me to hate that match, but I don't. It's the one where I felt people might have gotten me for the first time. That is not a man defined by what he won. That is a man defined by how he competed. And in the end, that is the only definition that holds. Andy Roddick had the most feared weapon in tennis. He used it perfectly in the biggest match of his career. He won 83% of his first serve points in a Wimbledon final, and it still wasn't enough. So here is the question for the comments, and there is no clean answer. Do you think Andy Roddick was unlucky? Or did he simply run into someone better? Drop your answer below. And if this kind of deep dive analysis is what you come to tennis for, subscribe to KT Tennis. Every video is built on verified facts, real numbers, and the stories that the highlights don't show you. We'll see you in the next one.